The narrative surrounding this Week 1 Sunday showdown in Atlanta was Shane Beamer coaching against the program that his legendary father Frank built at Virginia Tech in the late 1980s. But more importantly for the South Carolina football program, what Shane Beamer and this roster established in 2024 and kicking down the door to a college football playoff and completing the run this season in 2025, most likely led by another narrative in LaNorris Sellers. And on this opening weekend where we saw all sorts of big-time matchups involving high-profile quarterbacks who disappointed, maybe Sellers would prove to be the most dynamic and also could possibly make his stake as the best quarterback in college football. South Carolina wins at 24-11. We appreciate you stopping by here at the Voice of College Football. Please like the video and subscribe, and let's take you through it as Sellers and South Carolina went as scripted on the first drive. 7 plays, 75 yards. It was easy, not just because they were good, but the Virginia Tech secondary was lost on 3 consecutive plays. Maurice Brown for 14, Nick Harbor for 20, and Brady Hunt for 20, as South Carolina wide receivers were just in the flat, wide open, just taking little pitches from Sellers and running down the field unmolested. And Sellers capped it off with a 15-yard touchdown run, 7-0 South Carolina. Well, Virginia Tech came right back behind their dual-threat quarterback, Kyron Drones. Now, 2 years ago in 2023, in a bit of a resurrection of Virginia Tech football as they look to have a future with Brent Pry and with Drones at quarterback, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, as one of the more efficient quarterbacks in college football, but injured 3 different ways last season and really just was never himself. And so this was a big effort for Drones to show that he's back healthy and ready to lead Virginia Tech to a surprising season, because little expected of the Hokies. But Virginia Tech on this first drive, 7 plays, 70 yards for themselves as Drones was operating the offense. However, they did not complete the drive. They get deep into the red zone, and then Drones, flush from the pocket, made a bad decision throwing across his body, late to the middle of the field, picked off by Fred Johnson, who did not make a good decision in coming out of the end zone and only made it to the 2-yard line. That set up Virginia Tech's pass rush, led by Emmett Laws and Kelvin Gilliam from the defensive tackle position, as they just pushed the centers and guards of South Carolina into LaNorris Sellers for a safety. So we had 7-2 at that point. And then Drones hit Aiden Green on a beautiful play down the left sideline in which he just dropped it in the bucket. However, a chop block brought it back. So that drive went for naught. Meanwhile, after that beautiful opening drive for South Carolina, they went 4 consecutive drives with basically nothing. 14 plays for 25 yards as the Virginia Tech secondary righted the wrong, started to pick up their assignments, and athletically, this is the best part of this football team in Blacksburg. The Hokies go 8 plays and 59 yards. Donovan Green with a huge crossing route over the middle, plus gets the unnecessary roughness penalty down to the 11, but once again, the Hokies cannot convert in the red zone. They kick the field goal, though, 7-5 at this point. El Haj Powell with the sack and the forced fumble puts South Carolina in a bad way, 2nd and 33, but their new running back acquisition from Utah State, Rashul Faison, wiped it out with a 30-yard gain, but Nick Harbor looked like he made a touchdown catch, and this is where football fans know what a catch is. The Rules Committee does not know what a catch is. Get in your backyard, throw the football around. You know when somebody caught the ball and when they didn't catch the ball. Nick Harbor caught the football. By the rule, I do not blame the officials. I saw all sorts of criticism of the officials on social media. I don't know that the officials made the wrong call because they're simply interpreting the rules that are listed in the book that need to be more decisive, and they need to be a little bit more liberal when it comes to completing a catch. Nick Harbor made a touchdown catch. The review said no, and we go to halftime as Virginia Tech lined up for a 56-yard field goal at the gun to make it a 10-8 football game. So it was competitive in the first half between these two. In the second half, it was basically Dylan Stewart making some pass rush moves as one of the best freshman in college football last year, and much expected of him as he could be a top 5 player in the NFL draft in a couple years. So he started to get it going because he was actually led off sides twice that helped Virginia Tech. But in the second half, it was basically 2 big plays by South Carolina, and the defense put the clamps on Drones and company. But before that could happen, Vakari Swain all over Donovan Green, who still made a remarkable catch down the left sideline for a big gainer to the South Carolina 38. Donovan Green, the wide receiver pickup from Wake Forest for Virginia Tech, 3 catches for 94 yards. But I mentioned big plays. Dylan Stewart wiped out that drive with a sack. We go to the fourth quarter, still at 10-8. Punt return touchdown, broke it open for South Carolina. Vakari Swain, the guy that mauled Donovan Green as a defensive back, as a punt returner, went 80 yards for the touchdown. And then the dagger was the bomb to Nick Harbor. If you remember Nick Harbor's recruitment, he had everybody going after him. He's got elite speed. I mean Olympic track speed. 64 yards on the touchdown reception bomb from Sellers, who finished 12 of 19, a very efficient 209 yards, and Harbor 3 catches for 99 yards. And then Virginia Tech possibly could have gotten back in the ball game. They had 3 consecutive plays for 31 yards. There were still 5 to 6 minutes left in the game, down 2 scores. But on 3rd and 10, Aiden Green could have caught a play over the middle on a crossing route and run forever. However, he dropped it. That set up 4th and 10. Peyton Williams, waiting back in coverage, picks it off, and that's all she wrote. And just to make it look good, just to brag, just to push it in their faces, Lenora Sellers did some Lenora Sellers things on the final drive to keep the football, as he just shrugged off would-be tacklers, raced down the left sideline, did it again on a short keeper in which he just showed his strength and dynamic playmaking abilities again. And Drones went 15 of 35. He was miserable in the second half, and South Carolina marches on to the win with those 2 big plays and the defense leading the way in the second half, 24-11. So for the Gamecocks, they got South Carolina State coming up next. Then they've got Vanderbilt to open up the SEC. Ironically, Virginia Tech plays Vandy next week. And of course, Vandy led off their 7-win season by upsetting Virginia Tech as a 2-touchdown dog to open 2024. And while we're speaking of point spreads, we took South Carolina to cover the points. We're 15-6 against the spread. Are you getting our picks? Probably not. You can become a premium Patreon member with the link down below, or a premium member right here on YouTube. Get our predictions. I pick 20 to 25 games per week. And then you also get the 12-pack from Corey Bradis, Steve Dace, and Matt Zemek. And then you get the Under the Radar selection exclusive to the Voice of College Football, courtesy Steve Merrill. Again, 10 p.m. Eastern Time every night. Give me a call right here at the Voice of College Football.